And we are live, Purple Politics today. And this is a special report from the Heartland. We got G Poe in the place. How are you doing today?
I'm really good, LJ. How you doing out in LA today, my friend?
It's a pretty good day out here. It hasn't been too bad. It's been nice several days in a row, kind of like normal, but
very few days we get better than LA, and we've had another one today. It was just incredible. Low humidity, 80 degrees. It was wonderful. So
it's awesome.
So I've been seeing some great programs come through with you and Lux, and with you and Kelly Chamberlain with the New Leaders group there in Minneapolis. I researched that a little bit.
Looks like New Leadership Council. Yep.
Yeah, great group. Great effort that they started in 2015 to coordinate leaders and activists in Minneapolis. And boy, they're at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been something they've worked with for a long time.
Yeah.
At least I think she's been pretty active within like the last 5 to 7 years. So it's unique when that kind of all kind of comes together at the same time. And like when things like George Floyd happened in Minneapolis, like you find people that are not only right place but right time, but they have the right assets and tools and communication channels and community with proper relationships to like immediately engage. It's cool to see.
They have a framework to make it happen. It looks like a wonderful idea. How would you summarize those two experiences? What was the Lux summary? What was the Cali summary? What was the commonality? Have they networked each other? Because I think you can do a great job of networking people to each other.
Oh, I don't know if they've actually met. I'm not sure.
That would be wonderful to connect them.
Yeah, Lux, she was a person who had been down at the George Floyd memorial site and protests vastly across Minneapolis since the night that he died. And so she just has a really unique experience of being a person that has seen it kind of all the way through. She'd been obviously active much before even that particular event. And she has a unique relationship with the government, because she knows that things need to happen really on more a community side than always on a governmental side. That doesn't mean that she's constantly always pushing back. Seems as though like just knowing that like, persistence and people and voices will create real change. But then the reason that I interviewed her specifically is through my experience being down there. She was one of the people that was most willing to confront conversations on both sides of the line. I saw her not only, on stage, at the mic, talking to the 1,000 or so people that were there. But I also saw her, having small, more intimate conversations with groups that were entirely white and groups that were entirely Black and groups that were of older demographics and younger demographics. And so willing to confront different conversations in different spaces. So it was cool to, have and hear her perspective on where kind of Minneapolis is at, and where is there optimism, or is there just hopelessness? She obviously is siding towards optimism, feeling that this time is more of a revolution than it is a hopeless time, but also confronting those real thoughts that some days it feels kind of hopeless, but we are where we're at, and we have the minds, time, and energy to create better community and to be a part of our future. And so I think she leads a really good cause in that. The Cali conversation was cool because she has been a part of it with this New Leaders Council or National Leaders Council. I can't remember when it was.
It's NLC, New Leaders Council, Twin Cities.
Yeah, and so they help people who are just like out of college generally reactivate into the community. So from a various group of backgrounds, you could be an engineer and still be an NLC to be able to interact with civic leaders, see where there's different positions where they need people like yourself, have engaged dialogue on how policy is creating change and what they need to do in order to get specific initiatives across or not. So it gives kind of, it really activates a community to inject themselves into the spaces where change is really happening on a policy level, and then city kind of activism. And then she's working, with an insurance provider that is looking deeper into the statistics on how Black women have been experiencing an incredible amount of injustice within the healthcare systems, because uh, they had surveyed, and 60% of doctors even believe that Black communities have thicker skin. And so just like that statistic alone, I don't know where
What do
that's
you mean by thicker skin? What do you mean by that?
can deal with pain better.
Gotcha. Okay.
So so a lot of Black women that come into the hospital saying like, hey, I have a side ache, sometimes, and I guess not sometimes, statistically right now, too many times and more often than not, these women have feelings and have been kind of set aside, and sometimes those necessary proactive, tests or medications or surgeries aren't taking place. So that mortality rate is much too high for what we should be experiencing within our country. And so, and so even within like childbirth, one, that community is not experiencing the level of, understanding of what their rights are in those spaces. So incorporating like doulas into that healthcare system, and those, for having those insurance providers actually have doulas placed with people to, one, help mortality rate better for mother and child, protect people's rights while they're in those places, for to allow them to feel comfortable and feel like someone's fighting on their behalf. To then also mitigate the cost to the entire system of what happens when things go wrong. That's bad for everybody, not only in the sense of death, which that's the worst part, but there's also huge monetary losses to the whole system when things go wrong.
Yeah.
So they're a great in-depth conversation. They were awesome.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you. For those who haven't joined us in the past, Purple Politics is obviously not just about politics by any means. It's a video log of what was happening during 2020, and a dad and a son and other folks pop in and kind of talk about what was happening during 2020. I always like to think of this, whether people access this now or in 20 or 30 years, I think it'll be a wonderful reservoir for what was happening at the time, because it would be fun to look back. What happened? What were your parents and grandparents thinking about in the Great Depression?
Right.
Well, this is going to be a reservoir for those to do that. And within that, anybody that's kind of followed us, I try to, through my own process of trying to learn what's going on, because I certainly don't know what's going on, but trying to understand what's taken place. And we always emphasize the point, all being said, I could be wrong. And that is a huge point every time. But LJ's given me some assignments. And my assignments are trying to be fulfilled. And then I'm going to assign it back to kind of the audience, because I really think I could envision this. Having been at Luther, we look back on some things like this, and we aren't going to spoon feed anybody. You're going to have to do some jobs yourself. And that's what LJ has done to me. He assigned me White Fragility, the book, to read and to start to understand and to listen and to learn the verbiage that's going on right now, because it's all new to me. It's all new to many in my generation. That's something we have to start to engage and try to understand and to better ourselves and realize if somebody out in the community is asking for help, listen. If your neighbor's asking for help and saying something's bad's going on, listen. And that's where we're at, and trying to understand. So I want to thank you for White Fragility assignments complete. But now I'm going to assign this to those who are going to listen, and we'll go over these words in more detail in the future, but words I was not familiar with. white defensiveness. And I'm not going to define them now. You're going to have to go out and find them yourself. LJ knows them and I know them, but these are just for others. White denial, white diversion, white fragility, white privilege. All those are things that I thought I had a grasp on and I didn't. And I can't say that I fully do now, but I'm trying to try to understand somebody else's, there's multiple Americas. It's complex. I think you've explained it, LJ, as best that I've ever heard is what's going on in my world right now is different than somebody's world that's going on in South Minneapolis. But I need to try to listen and understand that world. And when I need help, I hope they help me and try to understand me. When they need help, I try to pause, listen, and try to understand better what's going on there. So White Fragility is a mandatory read for all. It's a great one. D'Angelo did a great job, and we'll talk about that in detail more. I think the best read you gave me, though, was the Kendai book. In fact, I'll hold both those up. White Fragility, check it out, by D'Angelo. A buddy's trying to call in. I'm gonna have to get rid of that for now. And then this one, How to Be Anti-Racist by Kendai. Wow. This guy was particularly beneficial to me for these thoughts that he had. One, he thinks we should take racism on possibly as we would take on cancer. Hold on. Identify where it's at and that it's real. Identify, don't deny that cancer isn't there. Identify that it's real and there. Identify where it is. Then hit it heavy with chemotherapy, and chemotherapy's understanding, getting all the team on board that it's there, what assets you can throw at it to get rid of it, like Callie's new leadership council, and those folks trying to throw all your assets at the spot that it's occurring, then try to remove it, and then try to recognize that it can recur, but you have to be aware that it is out there and try to eradicate it when it re-arises. So if you kind of take on racism as a cancer, I think that was pretty cool way to do that. That's on Kendai's book, particularly the summaries on page 238. But this was what was most encouraging to me. He says, but before we can treat this, we must believe all is not lost. This is big. All is not lost for you or me or society. This is total optimism. This is good stuff. Believe in the possibility that we can strive to be anti-racist from this day forward. But you have to do a lot of homework and find out where we are, where we've been, where we're going, each individually. Believe in the possibility that we can transform our societies to be anti-racist from this day forward. This is huge now. Racist power is not a godly power. Racist policies are not indestructible. Racial inequities are not inevitable. Racist ideas are not natural to the human mind. He is talking total optimism if we can start to recognize it and get on board as a society. If your neighbor's having an issue, even though you don't understand it fully, try to understand it and get on board to help. Race and racism are power constructs of the modern world. Racism is not even that old, and I need to dig into that more fully because he is understanding that it's only, he says racism is not even 600 years old. It's a cancer that we caught early. I need to dig into that a little bit more to understand that. But finally,
I feel like I would want to challenge that notion at this moment, but we can, I guess we can go into it like further at a later date.
Right now, I'm going to take his word for it and just listen. I'm going to listen. I'm just reading and listening. But here, totally agree with this, that racism has been fast growing and it can be fatal. It's a cancer. Humanity has known in the past and we are knowing now. But what gives me hope is the simple truism: once we lose hope, we are guaranteed to lose. But if we ignore the odds and fight to create an anti-racist world, then we give humanity a chance to one day survive, a chance
Mhm.
to live in communion, a chance to forever be free. Kendai, spot on. I can absolutely agree on many, many, many things he's saying. And the biggest thing is believe and hope. But we have work to do. With all that, there's
Yeah.
work to do. So thank you. You got me onto white fragility and how to be anti-racist. And from both of those books, it's going to lead into another couple books. But I really hope this would make me smile if I'm past and gone, but 50 years from now, some junior class in college is assigned to trying to figure out what was going on in Minneapolis in 2020 and America in 2020. And they're given like this as kind of coursework, purple politics, to dig into what did a dad and his son, what were they trying to do? And we're struggling. We're trying to take it on. We don't know the answers. We're trying to search out the answers and trying to move forward. It's not where we're at, it's where we're going, but we're trying. We are really trying. And
Yeah.
Kendai speaks hope. Kendai speaks optimism. A lot of references I read out there don't do that. But you and I, LJ, are always in the hope world. I'm always hopeful.
Mhm.
It's not where we're at, it's where we're going. And we can, as a humanity, do better. So let's
Yeah.
hope this vicious cycle of violence stops. Hashtag stop violence, period. Stop violence, period.
Right. And I
I
think
don't
I
know if
like his
that's out there
sentiment.
yet. Is there a hashtag stop violence yet? Because
I'm
that's
sure
my
there is.
hashtag. It's got stop violence. I don't care where you are in the world. Humans are humans. Hashtag stop violence.
Right. And I like his sentiment where um I like his approach towards being anti-racist. I do think that is a very American thing that we should really take on.
Absolutely.
I think that that's something that we have been for a long time, but I do think it's important to like do some house cleaning every once in a while. And I think that's
Absolutely.
and I think you get lazy with stuff, and America was obviously had a very checkered past. It's also had one of the most successful pasts, right? In the sense that, you know, we have created freedom in a way that's never been experienced before on Earth. We've created economic freedom in a way that has never been experienced on Earth. I think we've created a country that is more diverse than any country that's ever been on Earth, and a country that's more tolerant than any country on Earth. However, I do think that we've been complacent with a lot of this stuff. And I do think that we've let specifically Black community go on the wayside a little bit to all the triumphs that America has achieved. And that's not to say that triumphs are invalid, but that is to say, let's turn around and remember that like everyone needs to come with us. And I think that we have forgot that community in different ways. I don't think all of America is racist. I don't think that it was started with racist intentions, but that doesn't mean that like there hasn't been a lot of really negative racist things that have happened on this soil for a really, really long time. And
Absolutely. It's still going on. I totally agree.
yeah, and I do think that the right wing, the people that just bleed red, white, and blue, they more proud to wave the flag, more proud to sing the anthem, all these different things. I do think that group has let um, racist thoughts, racist ideas, um, not they. I don't think they perpetuate them necessarily, but I don't think they necessarily attack them enough. And I
Say
think
that
they've
one more
let
time. You don't think they do what enough?
attack that idea enough. I think there's been racist language that is allowed on the right. There's been racist behavior. There's been racist thought processes, and there's even been racist policies that the right has let slide. They just feel like that's not their burden to carry, because they know the left has that. So they're pushing that fight. They're like, you guys are so caught up in pushing this fight. It's almost as if the right thinks, well, I don't need to worry about it because I know somebody else is checking my 6, right? They know that like the left's looking back, and so the right can look forward. Or and the left would obviously say the opposite, right? The left would say, well, the right's only looking back at America's past, and we're the only people looking forward. But I don't think it's as linear as we both would like it to be. But I do take it on the backs of the right to start to turn around and realize, like, hey, like there has been some language that we've let happen in our communities. That doesn't mean that I've never seen that in our household, but you do see that like kind of NASCAR community letting some racist behavior and racist language slide much too often, and it's got to go. But I do applaud, because I think that's starting to be eradicated. I think those flaws are being revealed, and people are kind of taking the side that they need us to take, to make sure that we don't go backwards in this fight.
Absolutely. Well, I think we have a system that can be adjusted, changed, modified, and move forward in a more positive way than it has been in the past. We've proven it in the past, with social issues, from women's rights to Black rights to numerous other LGBTQ. Where in the world have they had improvements like this? No place. Do we have a long ways to go? Absolutely. Are we improving? We're sure trying. We're sure trying. So, and you and I, we both see it. I'm fortunately in both communities deeply that there are people that would absolutely not have this conversation on either side, which is too bad. But that's where you and I and other purple folks we have a big responsibility, and that's to calmly and collectively try to build community that's more civil as we move forward. Because humanity has made a lot of mistakes. It's just not the white community. It's just not the Black community. It's just not any color community. Humans make mistakes. We have in the past, we will in the future, but let's try to recognize them and improve on. It's not where we're at, it's where we're going. And I really think if we keep this conversation going, we can. But it's amazing to me and how many won't go to that conversation. So it's up to you and I to, build bridges, try to continue to push forward, and help both sides realize that we can improve on this. But Kendai, boy, I'm a Kendai fan, as you can see, because he's speaking believe, hope, and let's try to improve this. Where some I just got done reading The Coming Insurrection by some, they think, radicals in France. And I not just got done, I read that probably 3 years ago, way before a bunch of people even got that on the radar. And they're saying there's just no hope. You have to break down all of Western civilization to go back to the beginning. Really, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Be careful what you wish for, because totalitarian societies, left and right, have occurred in the past. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there.
And so, I don't want people to get our optimism misunderstood for telling people to take their foot off the gas.
Totally agree with you.
Because you got to realize, coming from a person who has more of like a sports background, it takes so many high fives. It takes so many "you got this." It takes so many "we're going to win this game" to get the ball over the goal line. So when you're in that huddle, if you've been on a sports team before, it's not, "Oh my God, we're so shitty. We're never going to make it. We're never going to make it. Look at how fucking bad we played last game. Look at how bad we're going to play this game. Look at the thing I just fumbled, blah, blah, blah." That doesn't score touchdowns. That doesn't win the game. So my optimism and our almost what some people might think of like circular thoughts are because that is what my understanding of winning looks like. It's reminding ourselves we got this. Reminding ourselves, we are great. We've been great. We will continue to be great. This is in our DNA. We can pass this forward. We can score this touchdown. We can win this next space, this next revolution. And so that's why you're not going to see me screaming on Instagram, because when I've been in the huddle, that person didn't help us win. The person who's freaking out didn't get the ball over the goal line. And so I don't ever want that this optimism to be misunderstood as that means we should stay where we are. Optimism is built to grow. It's built for growth and for the future. And
move the ball down the field. Absolutely.
Yes.
And when you say DNA, it's human DNA. It's in our human DNA to be kinder, to be
100%.
Yeah, to do unto others as you'd like to do unto yourself. Certainly there's evil out there, and there's a lot that don't feel like that, but there are still a lot of people that do. I really think humanity tries to do the right thing. And our job in the middle is try to bring both sides to realize there's goodness in all. Give each other a pause, give each other a little break now and then, but also to keep your feet to the fire, to have responsibility to move forward and do a better job.
Yep. This might be looked back in the history books in 100 years, and it might be called America's Great House Cleaning.
Absolutely.
You know, we've built the foundation. It is actually built on solid, positive roots, but we have been lackadaisical in way too many things. We did have to go into the basement and see all the things that we stuffed away that have been, you know, family relics that are disgusting. And it's
Absolutely.
time to burn all that to the ground, and it's time to move forward. It's time to walk towards the next direction. Obviously, I think you need to hang some of those old things on the wall to remember where to never go back to. Sometimes you got to remember, you got alcoholism in the family. We don't get to drink alcohol around here because that's what happens to us when we do, you know.
And he's definitely talking about both sides of his family. We know that. You don't go there. Been there, done
right.
that. And now we don't have it out in the front yard as a statue, but we do have it downstairs recognized in some deals. So I think some of the history, I'm not opposed to putting probably more history in museums than in statues. So that's a whole nother discussion. I don't think all statues need to come down, but I think maybe more of them need to go back into museums. I don't know. That'll be another fun discussion.
I think that all statues in like places like Washington, D.C. should stay, because I look at that space as a ground to just you can walk through history of the United States. If you're not proud of the United States, if you're disgusted of who we are, and you're sad about what you're sitting at, I invite everyone to go and try a trip to Washington, D.C. and experience what's created there. You're not going to like everything, but sometimes I hear my friends come back from Europe and they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much history in Europe. I went to this spot and I saw this monument and I saw this space, and like, wow, do they preserve history different there? Love it. And I think that there is unbelievable preservation that we learn from there. But Washington, D.C. is a really, really cool space to be able to experience America in a way that you never can in any other space in the country. There's something special about it.
Oh, absolutely. You and I have been in Greece, we've been in Rome, and they do some great things, but they've also been around thousands of years. We've been around,
right.
250, 4 or whatever it is. Could be wrong on that, but it's you're absolutely right. I just hope we can get more on board that America is not this bad spot that will continue to be bad for them. We want it to be improved. We want the new improved version. The 2020 blind no more. 2020 forward. Let's go. 2020 forward.
I love it.
Any other thoughts tonight?
Well, so sports resume tonight. So we got baseball back live tonight.
Yankees were ahead 5-1 on Washington before we started. How did that end, I wonder?
I actually don't know. Yeah. And then the Twinkies play tonight.
No, Twinkies, I think, play Cubs tomorrow.
Oh, really?
I think we play the Cubs tomorrow. And I was just
Okay.
on a Zoom earlier with a guy from Chicago. And, I was going to take Minnesota and he was going to take Chicago. And he goes, no, 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 I'm a White Sox fan. I can't take the Cubs. It's unbelievable and how, even though in their Chicago, he still can't take the Cubs.
That's funny. Well, and I got to tell you, I trust Fauci's science more after I saw his first pitch.
So tell me about this soy boy. What happened tonight? I didn't see it. I heard it was pretty.
You don't want to call Fauci a soy boy. Soy boy is like a derogatory statement towards.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had never. You got to help me. I didn't know it was derogatory. I don't even know what it means. I heard it tonight, so I thought, okay, it was a soy boy.
Well, it's not like, I mean, it's not like derogatory.
Say that because I have no idea what I'm saying.
Well, a soy boy is like what a person who perceives themselves to be like more of a masculine, like meat eating guy would call a guy who can't throw the first pitch of a game as if he only eats vegetables, which means he only gets his protein from soy. So you call him a soy boy.
Proving my main point of my life. All being said, I could be wrong. So whatever I say, I could be wrong, and I was wrong.
Maybe. It was a soy boy. It was a soy boy pitch, though. It was a soy boy pitch.
We'll let that up to people's own determination.
But
so there's another assignment tonight. Watch Fauci's pitch starting Major League Baseball, and you decide yourself.
And I'm gonna tell you, after watching it, I think that you will believe in his science more.
And why is that? Because he's a normal guy?
No. He can't throw a baseball.
So that's good. So he's worried about other stuff because he's not a baseball guy.
I mean, it looked like he had never thrown a baseball before in his life. And so
that's good. We want him.
I would say that's positive, right? Like that's just not his MO.
Yeah,
I mean,
I get it.
I don't think sports make you more intelligent. It's like.
So if he would have put one right down the pipe at 65 miles an hour for an old guy, you would have been concerned. You would have less confidence in him because he'd have been in the backyard practicing, not worrying about what's COVID's happening.
Yeah, his mind was elsewhere, which I guess it probably should be.
Okay. Well, good. Well, so there's another assignment for you folks. I hope you're all chuckling 40, 50 years from now going, we got some work to do. If you watch Loring and LJ, you're going to have some assignments to do, but we will follow up with you too. That'll be good. Final thoughts tonight. What do you think? Let's wrap up a little bit early. What are we thinking?
Well, I'm interested to see if we do see these numbers actually start to go down, right? It looks like things might be trending down a little bit. Am I wrong with that? It looks like in some of the areas that were initially the most feared that were flying up are at least starting to flatten a little bit, right?
Well, it's challenging around the country. The number of cases is way up kind of consistently, but we're also doing an incredible number of testings. Testing isn't perfect, but it's certainly improved. But the deaths have not gone up as much as they thought they were going to do, the way the numbers have been blown up. So once again, with statistics, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. Well, so I just think there is a little bit of leveling off. Hopefully, I hope that kind of keeps its movement. That's pretty much it for tonight. I mean, it is one of those days.
University of Minnesota's said, and I'm surprised they're going back to school on August 11th in 2020. So that's interesting, I think. And I have other friends on Board of Regents and some other schools. And I think those that are going back are doing this, going back early, maybe going back 6 days a week instead of 5, potentially, meaning, as a college student, you never go 5 days a week. You go 3 days on, 2 days off, you do some other thing because you have so much study time. But they're maybe offering classes 6 days a week. And then they're going to have a huge time off for Thanksgiving, like 5 or 6 weeks, or maybe longer, anticipating the COVID going up and then having a preset time, already dump it in there, anticipating they might need to be off longer. So I think that's an interesting move. They're trying to come up
Yeah.
with proactive strategies.
Like that. And then your boy played D1 football. We haven't talked about that.
That's
So your
crazy.
boy played D1 football.
St. Thomas is D1 Pioneer League, which is an interesting conference. San Diego, Butler, Merritt, Dayton, Drake.
Who would have thought you're gonna be able to come here and we'll be able to go to San Diego and watch a game?
D1 St. Thomas, good job. I'm proud of my son. D1.
Yeah, I think that might have to be a tradition of ours, where you come and we drive down to San Diego to watch the Tommies play.
That would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. Well,
so it's D1 AA, right? I'm pretty sure we're not in, I don't think, like that top tier D1 bracket yet, but that's going to happen. And I just want to say it here. I have been saying this since my sophomore year of college, ever since meeting Glenn Caruso for the first time, that this guy is just different. And
in a good way, he's making it happen.
He was talking about, he knew that this was going to happen from the time that he got there. He knew he was going to take this team D1. Didn't say it much, didn't want to talk about it, but the rumblings were in the locker room from the first day that he came. We're like, this guy's going to take us D1. And I've been ranting and raving about this my entire college career, which is like, it was too long, it was 5 years, and telling everyone that we're going to go D1 one day because of Caruso.
I hope Coach Caruso watches one of these times one day, because he's never had a bigger advocate than from day one than you. Even though, when he came, he had a different group of guys than the group that they kind of thought the year before might be there. And that was good. You said, it is what it is, and you move forward. It was great.
When the day that he kicked me off of the team was the day that I knew that St. Thomas football was going all the way to the top, because he knew that he couldn't have guys like me around to go to the place that he needed to go. And I turned around out of that office and I said, I am going to be your biggest fan. You've finally taken the steps to take this program to the top.
So Caruso, this may be the oddest endorsement you've ever gotten, but LJ is all for you and always has. I can remember those times distinctly. So awesome. Yeah. Congratulations.
That tune hasn't changed since.
So I'm just going to end on fear and panic. Don't do it, baby. Pause, facts, and action. Yes. Perseverance, love, hope, faith, kindness. Absolutely every time. Biggest thing, hope. We're going to get out of this. We're going to come out better. How about you, my friend?
Today I'm feeling good. I would say that if you hate someone in this world, try talking to them for once and see what they actually have to say. I think a lot of the people that we perceive that we hate, we maybe have never had a real honest conversation with.
Those are wise words. I like that.
And so, yeah, this has been Purple Politics today. Thank you, GPO, for showing up. This is a special report from the Heartland.
It's faith, family, friends, football, and God bless the USA. I liked your football analogies ending on a little D1. That was good.
I love it. God bless you all, and Godspeed. Over and out, and hope to see you next time.